Hi guys, this is Dan, Francis Owen, UK bass player. Welcome to another In the Style of tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at gospel music, and in particular we're going to be looking at what's called a shout. And we're going to be looking at the fundamental ideas and approaches that you need to understand in order to execute this style on the bass. And for this study piece I've acquired the help of two very good friends of mine who also happen to be amazing musicians. These guys have helped me capture the vibe and the energy of for what's needed for a shout. Drummer extraordinaire Matt Brooks, and also guitar extraordinaire Dan Brew. So be sure to check those guys out. So let's check out the study piece. As always guys, please make sure that you've got your transcription of the study piece in front of you. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, I do not want you to be discouraged if you don't read music yet. Keyword being yet. Now, you'll get it, but all you've got to do is do it. Do it, do it, do it. Try and try again. Okay, it's like anything in life. You need to make the connection between dots on the page and the notes on your bass and on the fretboard. So this lesson, this is an opportunity for you to make a start. So let's start today. Okay? Right, let's get going. For those of you who are familiar with walking bass lines, this isn't a million miles away. Because predominantly we're playing crotchets on each beat of the bar with a driving forward motion which creates a solid harmonic bass for the rest of the ensemble. Now before you do begin to expand your shout bass line vocabulary, it's vital to have this bass line, the bass line in bars 37 and 38 in your armoury. Let's take a closer look at the notes. So playing an E flat, then we're going down to the major third, G, and then we're going to go chromatically up to the B flat, the fifth of E flat, and then we're going to jump to the sixth, the C of E flat, and then we're going to go chromatically back to the root. Okay. it's essential to have this bass line in your muscle memory, because a lot of shout music can be quite fast. So therefore you need to know that your tools, your hands, are familiar with the common patterns and shapes if and when you need to call on them. And therefore you can concentrate on the music itself. So once you have it in that position, then you can start to move it around the fretboard and move it into different octaves, like so. So, if we're going to take it one step further and create some interesting bass lines, we need to know the harmony that we are going to be outlining. So in the walking sections, the guitar and the organ are outlining an E flat minor 7 chord. So obviously we can use our Aeolian mode, which is the natural minor scale. And because there is a tinge of blues and funk generated by the combination of the feel and the harmony, you can also integrate your blues scale in there as well. And also your Dorian scale. And then combining these harmonic elements with a good use of range on the bass, you get something like in bars 130 to 134. Music is so energetic and such a feel-good style. Well, it makes me feel good anyway. Naturally, it's going to make you want to play more stuff. But we need to do this stylistically coherently and also tastefully. For example, in bars 41, here incorporates an implication of the relative minor of E flat, which is C minor. So check it out slowly. And again. This, when in context, this still functions as a bass part, but also adds that little bit of momentum and excitement to the bass part and rhythm section, and contributes to the overall vibe of the shout. As many of you, I'm sure, are aware, whenever anybody talks about gospel music or gospel musicians, connotations run straight to gospel chops and YouTube videos with drummers and bass players with ridiculous technique. So, with that in mind, I wanted to give you something that was a little bit more technically challenging. And after all, it is a bass tutorial, isn't it? So, at bar 143, I've given you a little bass feature fill to finish off the piece. Now this fill is outlining an E6 chord and using a chromatic passing note through the G, the minor third of E, and it's repeated over 3 octaves. So here it is slowly. Another point that I wanted to make, and also another skill that I would like to encourage you to do, is to use your ears. With regard to the classic shout bass line, I'm sure that there are a few of you thinking, how can you play a G natural on an E flat minor 7 chord? You know, how can Dan do that to us? You know, as a student, I was constantly thinking, can I play this note over this chord? Can I play like this over that tune? And obviously there are situations where you do have to do what you're told. But when you do have a margin of creative freedom, such as in the walking sections of the shout study piece, generally, if it sounds right, then it is right. There's a great quote which sums up what I'm trying to get across to you guys. I believe it was Anthony Jackson. He said that you go through years and years of learning your instrument, learning scales and all sorts of different theory. But then at the end of it all, how well did you listen? Due to the heavily arranged nature of the study piece and many other shouts that you will come across, the bass must play a supportive role in the ensemble. However, as you delve further into this style and checking out the suggested listening, you will find that there are little spaces in the music for the bass to come through and use its own weapons to add to the excitement of the track. Now, when I refer to weapons, I mean the use of unique characteristics of the bass. For example, during the intro of the study piece. Using these different techniques and ideas, such as the heavy vibrato, big slides, slaps and pops, this decorates the typical shout hits and really adds to the energy of the track, the ensemble, and also the overall impression of the music. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this bite-sized chunk into shout and gospel music. I hope that this has given you the inspiration to seek this music out further. To understand this music fully, I would really recommend that you study the other instruments within the ensemble and figure out how they all work together, especially the piano. I would really encourage you to figure out the harmony and figure out some piano voicings, as this will give you obviously a greater harmonic knowledge, but also give you greater harmonic ideas for bass lines and for fills. And write your own shout and write your own bass lines. You know, do your own thing with it, because after all, music is about expressing yourself. And this goes for every style of music. You need to study great bass players and great musicians. In gospel, for example, Fred Hammond, Israel Houghton, James Fortune, Ty Tribbett. Bass players, Andrew Goucher, Thaddeus Tribbett, Dwayne Wright, Sheree Reed. But your study of these great musicians is the journey which you are taking in order to find your own musical voice. You need to imitate, and then you need to innovate. I'm going to leave you with that, guys. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.